Hello everyone, this is Suzanne at Crochet and Chatter. How is everyone doing? Today's been a great day. I went to physical therapy this afternoon, and my shoulder's feeling a lot better. It was quite sore before I went, but she massaged all the kinks out. So she said I was probably over exercising my muscles, and I have a tendency to like hunch up, and I have to be careful because my muscles got really sore and burning. And so I'm going to back off of a few of the exercises and not try to be Arnold Schwarzenegger and build my muscles back up all at once. I don't want those kind of muscles anyway, right? All right. We're going to get started with the trivia question. And then we're going to talk about nuns. N-O-N-E-S. Nuns. All right. What's that about, right? All right, the trivia question. Here we go. Yesterday was, who was maliciously criticized for marrying an Ethiopian? Moses. Today's question. Name the 4 books in the Bible that start with the letter H. I got 2 of them, and then I thought, what are the other ones? And I looked on the back and went, oh, of course. So name the 4 books of the Bible that start with the letter H. Okay, we're going to talk about ones. You know, on the forms that we fill out a lot of times, go to a doctor's office, even filling out an application sometimes, they have a little box that says, what is your belief system? Are you Catholic, Protestant, or are you none of the above? Sadly, a great percentage of people check that none of the above. They want to say they're spiritual but not religious. It's about control. They want to create their own beliefs fitted to the individual. They're not ready to submit to anyone. They believe that the traditions of the church over the years, the hymns that we sing, meeting in a church building are way outdated. And they say we don't have to be stuffed into a building. We can worship anywhere. Well, yes, that's true. You can worship anywhere. But they want to call the shots. What is morality for you may not be my morality. And if I choose to do tarot cards, Ouija boards, Eastern mysticism, paganism, that's my choice. I have a sense of spirituality. Well, it isn't that way, is it? Over the past few decades, a new identity has gained popularity in the United States, being spiritual but not religious. When I first read that, I went, okay, I have to dig further into this. What is this now? But a 2017 study by the Pew Research Center found that 1 in 5 Americans is spiritual but not religious. And that number appears to be rising, challenging the typical categories by which many people define religion. Spiritual but not religious people show the complexity of religious identity. I read somewhere by 2050 that it may be as high as 52% that are going to be spiritual but not religious. On one hand, this identity is not new. Spirituality is not a modern invention. People have long described themselves as spiritual. But the tendency to separate spirituality from religion has become more prevalent since the 1970s. Since then, scholars and religious leaders have noted popular resistance toward organized religion. Many people today decide to reject the religious upbringing of their childhood to begin a process of spiritual seeking. Today's spiritual but not religious people are mostly young, have grown up in what some have called an increasingly unchurched United States. Spiritual but not religious people sometimes think of religion as restrictive and choose to explore various practices and belief systems from the world's many different traditions. Therefore, they aspire to be spiritual by living in a meaningful way. But they do not want to be religious by adhering to the dogma of any one religion. Beyond spiritual but not religious, there are many terms that represent this trend in American society. Religious nones, N-O-N-E-S, the religiously unaffiliated, spiritual seekers, agnostics, and atheists. The term spiritual but not religious is relatively new, but it comes from a long line of new religious movements that have challenged organized religion and describe religion as a matter of personal experience. Unlike some branches of atheism, spiritual but not religious people do not necessarily reject religion in favor of rationalism or science. But the phrase spiritual but not religious is similar to secular, rationalistic branches of thought because it can be used to critique organized religion for its perceived and preoccupation with doctrine. Wow. Many emergent spiritual movements began because people of certain identities feel barred from religion. For example, some spiritual but not religious communities point out how organized religion can limit the rights of women or LGBTQIA plus people. Wow, they've almost used up the whole alphabet there. As spiritual but not religious people attempt to situate themselves within the American religious landscape, they face challenges with being accepted. Some scholars and religious leaders accuse spiritual but not religious people of being self-centered or inconsistent with their engagement with spirituality. Critics claim that being spiritual but not religious means cherry-picking the more palatable parts of religion without feeling the weight of responsibility and sacrifice that belonging to a certain religion can carry. So they don't want to be convicted of sin. They don't want the hell and damnation. They want this feel-good spirituality. That's not going to fly. To these criticisms, spiritual but not religious people respond that all forms of religious engagement involved selecting tenets that resonate with the practitioner, choosing a unique, thoughtful way of moving through the world allows them to be better human beings. By seeking their own way of being, spiritual but not religious people often see themselves as carving a new path in which religion can be freely chosen rather than inherited. In this way, spiritual but not religious people are representing and molding an understanding of religion that emphasizes individual choice. Because spiritual but not religious identities are fluid, rituals and practices vary from person to person. Many spiritual but not religious people draw from various traditions to create their own unique approach to spirituality. Common rituals include yoga, Buddhist meditation, or pagan practices like tarot card reading. Now, that's very, very sad. Some of you may have been aware of this. I told you the other day about this book, The Man, the Myth, the Message. This is the same man that wrote the book, God's Not Dead, that they turned into movies. And I just started in this book. And what I want to do is perhaps start going through this learning about the history of Jesus, to dig a little bit more into apologetics. There are so many witnesses around us that Jesus was who he said he was. And who do you say Jesus is? When Peter was asked that question by the Lord, he said, you are the Son of the living God. I know who you are. You're the Messiah. And we need to be assured of that in our minds. And when someone wants us to give an accounting of why we believe, we need to be ready to give an answer. And I really, really like this book. And I want to take you traveling through it with me, because I think it would be beneficial for us to be able to realistically talk to people about the history of Jesus, how it was witnessed by many people ever since Jesus went back. The witnesses carried on, and it's been passed down through the generations. Well, now, they're wanting to do away with that. They're wanting to do away with the Bible. It's disheartening. And this generation of people that claim, my body is my own, and they murder babies in the womb. And there's a vote coming up in Michigan that there's 3 proposals, which I'm going to vote no on any of them. And one of them is that if it passes, we will become the state that proves abortion, like abortion is free. I mean, a 12-year-old girl can get an abortion if her school teacher says, yeah, I'll take you to get an abortion. Your parents don't have to know. Or, all these horrible things, telling them that their baby is not a baby. And it's horrifying. And if this passes, it's going to be very hard to ever get it off the books. Where if a child wants to mutilate his body, don't have to ask his parents. He can have a double mastectomy done if he wants to turn into a girl. Just horrible, horrible things. Well, this is what happens when you get these young people nowadays wanting to do what is right in their own eyes. In fact, I think in Noah's day, the people were doing what was right in their own eyes, and that's why God, sent the flood. And I think it's important to study the man, the myth, the Messiah. And I have always seen things like, spirituality versus religion. And I'm spiritual but not religious. And it's like, do we really stop and think, what do those things really mean? What are they really saying here? Sometimes it takes some digging. I'm a plain sentence girl. Just tell me in a plain sentence. Oh, you mean you want to pick and choose what you want out of this book, and the other you want to cast it. You want to mutilate the Bible. You want to choose a path that is very selfish. You want to choose a path that doesn't have high morals or values. You want to believe in tarot cards. You want to study yoga. All these things. We need to be really ready to give an account of why we believe in the God of the Bible. Why we believe the history that is true. And there are people nowadays that don't believe that the Holocaust really took place. You ask young kids what happened on 9/11. Oh, some airplane ran into a building. Sad, isn't it? But the more we study, the more knowledgeable we become. We can be wise as a serpent and gentle as a dove. You can say, have you studied any facts regarding this? If somebody come out and wrote a book that said something is wrong, like Jehovah's Witnesses or whatever it is, Freemasonry, all this stuff, and Jim Jones, all these weird things, and you go, I need to read up on this. And then you read all these different books that affirm that this is wrong, this should never have happened, and people still want to deny it. In the face of facts, they don't want to do the stuff necessary. But I asked somebody the other day, you know, there are plenty of books out on this topic, and the topic was on Freemasons. And she took offense to what I said. And I just said, you know, so you're telling me every ex-Mason, every ex-Jehovah Witness, everybody that's come out of a cult, that these people are blowing smoke in our face? That they're telling horrible lies that never happened? They are being blinded. And the more we can bring out the truth of the Bible and God's Word, the loving, caring God, people need to relink to God, the heart of the gospel gave by God, to obey God, to love the Lord with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul. All right, I hope you've enjoyed that today. I enjoy digging around and going at things from maybe a little bit different angle. I did put the link in the drop-down box below to the article that I read. I felt it was pretty good, and I think, with your permission, I think this would be really good to start using as some of our thought processes. Maybe instead of Thursdays being, Thirsty Thursday, this would fit. On Thursdays, I can come on and we can study some more in this book about the man, the myth, the Messiah. What do you think? All right, everyone, you take care. My husband's tummy is growling. I need to fix dinner. I got it mostly made, thank goodness. And yeah, I'm feeling really good right now. I don't want to move. I feel good. Do you ever have that, like, don't move? You feel really good. Don't move. Don't do anything. But that's not life, isn't it? We got to keep mobile. All right, well, that's it for today. Again, Lord willing, I'll be back on tomorrow with another lesson from God's Word. You take care. Bye-bye.